A speech, you're very vocal on this issue, and you've even got your own van here. Tell me why you're going around the country trying to raise the alarm.
I think the van speaks for itself, doesn't it, for why I'm actually doing it?
It does.
Because these are all crimes. But for those who are watching it for the first time, if I go through maybe the van with you,
Yeah,
is that okay? So I'll keep it very simple. This is Break and Silence Project. What happens when you break silence against these crimes? We're talking about child sexual exploitation, abuse at home, emotional abuse, bullying, neglect, online abuse and self-abuse. And children and parents call 999, 101, NSPCC, schools, colleges, the whole lot of it, but no one comes to the aid. Now, the reason why they don't come to the aid is because of this side here. This is breaking silence on the broken system. So you find here social workers, liars, criminals, storytellers. Who do they lie to? Well, one thing I can tell you now, they lie to everyone. What do they lie about? They lie about everything. Now, these are concerns now, if anybody's listening. Do social workers neglect children? Yes, they do. Do they mistreat our children? Yes, they do. Are social workers doing the crime and our children, our babies, are doing the time? Yes, they are. Are victims being victimized? Now, victims being victimized, every crime I've just showed you on the other side is the kind of victims that are deliberately victimized by the local authorities deliberately. Do social workers control our judges and police? Yes, they are. Okay? And that's very, very simple. They provide them false information, manufactured documents, manufactured concerns, manufactured crimes. And then in the middle here is very, very simple. Paedophile rings, corruption within the authorities and grooming gangs. Now, why is this on here? Because right now I could show you live and directly that social services, victims of child sexual abuse, are covered up by the social services deliberately. So these victims now for child sexual exploitation, if they can't report these crimes, who's benefiting? The benefit goes to the pedophiles because they're going to continue doing what they're doing. And obviously you can get more information on LCS News. It's only due to safeguarding child protection on public media I don't give you too much about it, because it's too much, and I've got to make sure we protect our members of the public. And would you like to know more? And this is why it's so important that the members of the public really come together and wake up. So with me knowing all this, experienced all this, and travelled to the whole United Kingdom with evidence in every town and city is the reason why I'm doing it, because at the end of the day it's our responsibility, because we know the system, the authorities are failing. As you already should know, that social workers services are inadequate in all areas and unfit for purpose. Now remember this, they're inadequate in all areas and unfit for purpose, and we're handing our children to that. Are you kidding me? So this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, and hopefully we need to make that change.
So we're talking about professionals not doing their job. Is this every professional, or are we just talking about some?
No, this isn't every professional. Look, I've made it clear here. Are there any good social workers out there? Yes, there are. Now, how this is very, very simple is any good social worker that actually speaks up about doing the right thing, simply they get sacked, removed, or sent on the sick. Now, if you want evidence on that, I'm willing to provide you evidence on that. But let's look at the ones that are liars, criminal storytellers. When you go into a complaint procedure and they know they're going to get caught, what they do is they move them from that local area, they move them to another department in the town and city to prey on other children. So when they're manufacturing documents with what I've just mentioned, they continue doing the same operation in other towns and cities. So this is now a network of either dumb and stupid. You know, I mean, it's like working with Tom and Jerry here. I think, or Scooby-Doo, I mentioned, I think they could do a better job as cartoon fictional, you know what I mean, than the reality. And this is an issue.
So what do we do moving forward?
To move forward, the only way to move forward, we need to now, everybody needs to wake up. It needs to be a public inquiry in every town and city, because through the information of one town and city has now lingered up to over 17 other towns and cities that are employing perpetrators. They are employing people who are continuously lying, manufacturing documents, manufacturing concerns, manufacturing crimes against the members of the public, and particularly women and children are the most vulnerable. And they're deliberately targeting them. And I've mentioned this before, and this is not acceptable. And I've seen this issue that's going on, including, if I just point out to with the paedophile side, or victims of child sexual abuse. When a girl, for example, is going through this, firstly, they allow it because they're inadequate in all areas and unfit for purpose, and they're covering up everything. And when she's at an age where she can move forward and have a life of her own, and she gets married and she settles down with somebody, then that's an excuse for them to come involved and say, look, because you've been raped as a child, we don't think you're fit enough to have this child, we're taking your child. So it's not about prevention, it's about exploitation.
That actually prevents people from coming forward, and I know that because I've spoken to many survivors across the country. So they don't want to come forward and report what's happened to them because they're afraid social care will get involved, assess them and say, well, because of what's happened, you're not fit to care for your children, I'm going to remove. And also some of the victims have had children through their rape, and professionals are notifying the rapist that a child was born from it, and then that rapist can then go and apply through the family courts for contact or custody with that child.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. Victimising victims, isn't it? That's exactly what they're doing. Do you know what the fear factor is? There are tens of thousands of just mothers alone right now that we could bring forward that are going through this ordeal. And let's go to a simple example of domestic violence. There are mothers out there that real cases that are going through domestic violence are so scared, so petrified that they'd rather take a beating. They'd rather go through the suffering